Welcome to this AQA GCSE Sociology revision blast. Today we're doing a topic mix, which means that we'll be covering material that could be in either paper 1 or 2. We're going to start off the session with some multiple choice questions. Our first question is, which of these is not a system of stratification? Is it A, caste, B, slavery, C, stratified diffusion, or D, caste? So we'll leave that up for a couple of moments. You might want to have a pen and paper at the ready. Let's reveal the answer. It is stratified diffusion. Question 2. How did Marx identify the bourgeoisie? A, those who owned property, B, those who shopped at Waitrose, C, those who worked in factories, or D, those who sold their labour? Again, give you a moment. Let's reveal the answer. It is, of course, A, those who own the property. He coined the phrase owning the means of production. Okay, question 3. Which of the following is not a Marxist view of life chances? A, opportunities are linked to social class. B, meritocratic society rewards hard work and talent. C, capitalism uses limited social mobility to maintain itself. And D, life expectancy is linked to social class. Just leave that on the screen for a moment before we reveal. Let's have a look. It is B, so that's a functionalist idea. 4. Which of the following is a functionalist view of power and authority? A, society is managed for the benefit of all. B, elite groups aim to maintain the social order. C, there are powerful economic groups dominating society. And D, patriarchy limits women's access to positions of power. Let's reveal the answer. It is A, society is managed for the benefit of all. So that's the idea of being a consensus theory. 5. Which of the following is a Marxist view of power relationships? A, the ruling class uses its power to exploit workers. B, rules and regulations benefit all in democratic societies. C, women experience domestic violence and exploitation. And D, those who abuse their power will be removed from their positions. Leave that up for a moment so you can have another read of them. So let's reveal the answer. It is A, the ruling classes uses its power to exploit workers. Number 6. Who believed that a market situation determined an individual social class? Was it A, Marx, B, Weber, C, Wolby, or D, Engels? Let's reveal the answer. It was Weber. 7. According to Weber, members of each social class have similar what? Is it A, social mobility, B, clothing, C, patriarchal oppression, or is it D, life chances? Let's reveal the answer. It is life chances. 8. What is the name given to the idea of a lack of incentive to work for fear of losing welfare benefits? Is it A, social reproduction? Is it B, social mobility? Is it C, the poverty trap? Or is it D, culture of poverty? Just leave it up for a moment before we do a reveal. Okay, let's have a look. It is the poverty trap, where some people are actually financially worse off if they go out to work. Right, let's move on to a 60-second challenge. What different types of family form exist in the UK? So you might want to note these down. You've got 30 seconds. Let's start the clock. Okay, how did you get on? Let's reveal some answers. So we have the nuclear family with 2 parents, male and female, with their children. We've got our lone parent families, often known also as single parent families. So 25% of families in the UK are actually described as this. We've got our blended or reconstituted, also known as step families, which are now becoming more common than nuclear families. So these are families that are joined together after the breakdown of marriages where people meet new partners. We've then got same-sex families, which are also on the increase. And finally, at the bottom, we've got cohabitation, where people live together without getting married. And there are lots of reasons for this, but one of them is the fact that weddings are so expensive. So people would rather save up money for their first house, for example, or the fact that actually the institution of marriage isn't quite as valued as it used to be because of secularisation. Right, let's move on to another one. What are the 5 types of family diversity recognised by the Rappaports? Okay, let's have a look. So we've got organisational, we've got life course, we have class, we have cohort, and we've got cultural and ethnic. So 5 ways that families are diverse as recognised by the Rappaports in their 1980 study. Next one. Why has a symmetrical family increased? Okay, so this term symmetrical family is from Wilmot and Young. Let's have a look. So the symmetrical family itself means that families are a little bit more balanced in terms of conjugal roles. So men and women are doing similar roles within the household. So we've got the fact that people are earning more money, so there's economic equality. Women are going out to work, so therefore they're contributing a bit more to the household budget. Having the fewer children, so women have time to go out to work. Obviously, it goes with that as well, doesn't it? The increase in male wages, so you can work fewer hours, meaning that men actually have a bit more time to spend in the home helping out. Better living standards, so the home becomes more attractive, so men are happier to spend time there, and a decrease in male mortality rates as well. Right, we have one more 30-second challenge for you. Our last 30-second challenge is what criticisms of the family are there? So let's go. Okay, how many did you manage to come up with? Let's have a look. So we've got isolation. So this was obviously particularly relevant during the COVID pandemic. We've got the loss of traditional functions. So this is a massive criticism from people like Charles Murray in The New Right. We've got marital breakdown. We've got the idea of dysfunctional families. So that whole debate around nature and nurture. And also there's the prevalence of domestic violence taking place in the family. Right, I'm going to move on to a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 challenge. You've got 2 minutes to answer these questions, which are all linked to research methods. So we want 5 research methods, 4 types of interview, 3 ethical considerations, 2 advantages of surveys or questionnaires, and 1 disadvantage of an overt participant observation. So again, you need a pen and pencil at the ready. If you need a little bit more time than 2 minutes, then please pause the video after the 2 minutes is up. Let's start the timer.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So hopefully you managed to get things down for all of those categories. If you need a little bit more time, then just pause the video because we're about to reveal the answers. Right, let's have a look. So let's do 5 research methods. So we've got covert non-participant observation, so where people do not know they're being observed. We've got a web-based questionnaire, a field experiment, a structured interview where you have a series of questions to work through, and ethnography. 4, we have our types of interviews. So we've got structured interviews, we've got semi-structured interviews where you have some topics you want to cover, but you can deviate away from those questions. Unstructured, which are a bit more like a conversation, and group interviews or focus groups. 3, ethical considerations. So the idea of consent and deception. So do people know what they're actually signing up for? Confidentiality. So, for example, everything that is said during an interview needs to be kept secret and not shared with people. And then we have the idea of the protection from harm. So people that are taking part in your study cannot be harmed because of the work that you're doing. And obviously that links to confidentiality as well. So 2, advantages of surveys or questionnaires. They can reach a large sample and data can be quantified. So it can be put into numbers, then used for easy comparisons to make graphs and all sorts. And finally, one disadvantage of an overt participation observation would be the Hawthorne effect, which is where people start behaving in a different way because they are being observed. So therefore, you don't get a very accurate picture of what a situation is like. Right, I'm going to move on to the big reveal. We've got 3 of these, so you need to work out what is hidden behind the question mark before all of the clues are revealed. Let's get on with our first one. Number 1, status frustration. 2, labelling theory. 3 is socialisation. We've got 4, chivalry thesis. And then number 5 is class and gender deals. So what might this be? So take a few moments, have a look at those. If you haven't already worked it out, we will reveal the answer in a moment. So we've got status frustration, labelling theory, socialisation, chivalry thesis, and class and gender deals. So there are 5 key terms on there that hopefully you should know. If you're not aware of them, or you're not aware of 1 or 2 of them, then you need to go away and have a little bit of a research on those. So it is the reasons for the gender differences in crime statistics. Okay, let's move on to our next one. Number 1, strain theory. Number 2 is inaccurate statistics. Number 3, moral panics. Number 4, media scapegoating. Number 5, institutional racism. So again, hopefully these are all terms that we are familiar with. Again, if we're not really sure of 1 or 2 of them, then go away, have a look in the glossary. Let's have a look. Reasons for ethnic differences in crime statistics. Right, let's do our last one. So our first clue is subcultural explanations. Our second clue, moral panics. 3 is delinquency and drift. We've then got edge work. And then finally, youthful resistance. So what could we be talking about with this one? So subcultural explanations, moral panics, delinquency and drift, edge work, and youthful resistance. Let's reveal the answer. It is the reasons for age differences in crime statistics. So well done if you got those 3 big reveals correct. We're now going to move on to a give me 3. So you have 30 seconds to give me 3 factors which can affect life chances. Let's start the clock. Okay, let's have a look. So we've got social class, we've got race and ethnicity, we've got sexual orientation. There are others that you could have there as well. So you could have gender, of course, you could have age, you could have disability as well. Okay, we have another Give Me 3. This time we're looking for the findings of the Social Mobilities Commission State of the Nation report of 2022. Let's go. Okay, let's have a look at the answers. Okay, so we have disadvantaged children are less likely to be school ready by age 5. Disadvantaged young people are almost twice as likely to be unemployed a year after their GCSEs. And a postcode lottery exists in Britain today. Life chances are linked to where an individual lives. We're going to move on to another 30-second challenge. We've got 4 more this time. 2 are to do with family and 2 are to do with education. So our first question is, why have rates of divorce increased? Let's have a look at some answers. So we've got legal changes. It's much easier to apply for a divorce now, and it's much cheaper. Particularly in the last year, there's been new laws which have brought in no blame divorces. We've also got the decline of religion. It's not so frowned upon to get divorced. The increased expectations, particularly for women, so they are less likely to put up with being in an unhappy marriage. Women are also more independent, so they don't rely on their husband's salary so much, and you've got the idea of welfare support, so people can leave their husbands or their wives if they wish, because there is some welfare support for lone parent families if their income is significantly reduced. Right, let's do the next one. Why are family sizes much smaller than they used to be? Let's start the clock. Okay, so let's have a look at what you could have for this one. So we've got social changes. Women in particular are pursuing careers, so postpone having children. The idea is that most people now wait until they're in their 30s because they want to be settled and financially secure and have a good career under their belt. The availability of contraception means that obviously you can plan your families. The expense of bringing up children, so it is around £200,000 to bring up a child up to the age of 18 on average, and also that expected standard of living. So the more children you have, the more difficult it is to have that high expected standard of living, because obviously they are expensive. So it's limits perhaps the holidays that you can have, and lots of people really value those. So by having smaller families, you can still have those nice family holidays that are important to so many of us. Right, we're now moving on to education for our next 30-second challenge. The question is, what are some of the issues we're labelling in schools? Okay, let's have a look. So teachers make those immediate speculative judgments that are not really based on anything. The concept of ideal student, which is often linked to social class. The idea of the self-fulfilling prophecy, so what teachers expect generally will happen. So there's a really good study by Rosenthal and Jacobson that you may have come across where some teachers were told that a bunch of students were gifted and they were not, but because they were told they were gifted, they gave them lots more attention, so suddenly these children start doing better at school. And then we've got the idea of setting, so students being warmed up in the top sets or cooled down in the bottom sets. And again, obviously that's worth looking into because that's quite an important part of sociology, particularly with education. Right, our next and final 30-second challenge is this one. What evidence is there of gender inequality in schools? Okay, hopefully you've managed to come up with a few for this one. We have got feminists seeing schools as patriarchal. So one criticism they have is that there is a curriculum based around men's achievements. We've got the hidden curriculum messages. So a good example of that would be that in many schools, the positions of authority are taken by men, whereas the support staff are generally made up by females. We've got the boys' domination of space, and you can certainly see that on the playground. Social control, so the idea of double standards, so things that boys say to girls, for example. And then we have sexual harassment that is linked in there also. Right, we are moving on to our penultimate activity, which is a bubble quiz. So with a bubble quiz, you will see a number of questions. The number of answers that are correct can range from 0 to all 4. So you need to work out which bubbles are right. Number 1. Which of the following key studies was written from a functionalist viewpoint? Parsons, Durkheim, Warby, or Davis and Moore. So remember, the answers can range from 0 being correct to all 4 of them. So just give you a moment to reveal. So if you note down A, B, C, D, which ones do you think this is relevant to? Let's have a look. It is Parsons, Durkheim, and Davis and Moore. So Parsons talked about the warm bath theory, but he also did lots of work on socialisation. Obviously, Durkheim, one of our founding fathers of sociology, so lots around the idea of sort of collective sentiment and building a society where everybody has solidarity. We've also got Davis and Moore, who talked about role allocation. Right, number 2. Which of the following key studies was written from a feminist viewpoint? Hydison, Oakley, Delphi and Leonard, or Ball? So just leave those up for just a moment. Okay, let's reveal. Okay, so Hydison talked a lot about women and their control, which stopped them entering lots of sort of criminal activities. Oakley and Delphi and Leonard are particularly focused on inequalities in the home. So Oakley talked specifically about the dual burden, for example. Stephen Ball did some work on labelling within schools, particularly looking at setting. Number 3, which of the following key studies use unstructured interviews? So Wilmot and Young, Oakley, Townsend, or Carlin? Okay, again, we'll just leave that up for a moment. Let's reveal the answer. So Oakley and Carlin, it was really important, particularly in Pat Carlin's study, because she was talking to women who had been sentenced into prison because of the crimes that they had committed. So the idea of an unstructured interview would be used to gain that trust, that real important trust rapport between interviewer and interviewee that you can't really get with other types of surveys. Which of the following key studies use observation as part of their research? Ball, Willis, Hazley Heath and Ridge, or Devine? Okay, let's reveal the answer. It was Stephen Ball and Willis, who both went into schools, did some observations. So we've already mentioned Ball, he looked at the effects of labelling and setting. Willis looked at anti-school subcultures in his study of the lab. Okay, number 5. Which of the following key studies was written from a Marxist viewpoint? We've got Bowles and Gintes, Zaretsky, Murray and Weber. Okay, let's reveal the answer. So Bowes and Gintest talking about correspondence theory and the way that schools reflect the workplace. So schools teaching students to be obedient, so to prepare them for like sort of a work drudgery, for example. You've got Zaretsky, who's looking at the effects of capitalism, how families feed into that. Murray looked at, from a new right perspective, has looked at sort of the reasons why people get into crime, and he's linking that to the decline of the nuclear family. Right, last activity then. So we're going to do a quick round of multiple choice questions. Which of the following is not a form of secondary research? A, Ofsted reports, B, official statistics, C, ethnography, or D, social media posts. So which one is not a form of secondary research? Let's reveal the answer. It is C. So remember, secondary research is data that you have not collected yourself. You generally use it to back up your own theories. Number 2, which research method allows the tightest control of variables? Is it A, ethnography, B, a field experiment, C, a unstructured narrative interview, or D, a laboratory experiment? So which offers the tightest control of variables? It is D, it's a laboratory experiment. 3, which of the following does not reduce the validity of a study? A, demand characteristics, B, the Hawthorne effect, C, social desirability, or D, rapport. So which of the following does not reduce the validity of a study? Validity, remember, is all about how truthful that study is, so how useful it is. Let's have a look. It is rapport. So generally, if you have good rapport with your subjects, then they are more likely to give you some useful results. Number 4, using a quota sampling method can increase the what of a study? A, attrition rate, B, rapport, C, sample size, or D, representativeness. Let's reveal the answer. It is D, representativeness. Right, we have our final question. I employed a team of researchers to conduct in-person questionnaires on poverty in 1979. Who am I? Am I Townsend, Willis, Oakley, or Glaser and Strauss? Let's reveal the answer. It was Townsend, so where he did his deprivation index study. Okay, well done. We have covered lots of different topics across this topic mix revision blast. Hopefully it will give you a little bit of confidence in some of those topics that can come up in either of your papers. Please remember to have a look at the playlist for all the other revision blasts that we have. We have covered the entire specification, and obviously we need to wish you good luck for your exams.